So basically, Islamic finance, you're being told here, is a form of finance that specifically follows the teachings of the Holy Book, the Quran. The teachings of the Quran are the basis of Islamic law or Sharia. Sharia law is, however, not codified, and as such, the application of both Sharia law and by implication Islamic finance is open to more than one interpretation. But the most important, ladies and gentlemen, things that you're supposed to know, which are prohibited, the haram activities in Sharia law, in Islamic finance. In Sharia law, there are some activities that are not allowed, and as such, must not be provided by any Islamic financial institution. These include the famous maisir, gambling. They are not allowed to engage in gambling. Ukipata Muislamu ana gamble, ukipata Muislamu ana gamble hivi, anaenda kwa kitu ya mpira hii sijui ni sport pesa ana gamble, huyo si Muislamu halali, right? Muslim, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, gambling is haram, Great. We have uncertainty in contracts. Uncertainty in contracts, ladies and gentlemen, what we call garar, is haram. And that is why you can never get into a loan agreement with a Muslim bank. Like, for example, First Community Bank, assuming they were charging interest, assuming in this case they are charging interest, assuming because Islam banks don't charge interest. Riba is also haram. So assuming they were charging interest of 14%, and then the president comes and says, hey, this 14% cap, we have removed it. There is no way Islam bank can increase that amount, because Islam is all about what your certainty. Islam, ukipatia a true Islam hata pesa, for example, umwambie nimekupatia 10,000 Kenya shillings. Anakuuliza ndakurudia siku gani, unamwambia nirudishie for example Jumaa. Ata make sure amekurudishia hiyo pesa Jumaa, exact amount you guys agreed. Because Islam is all about what your certainty. Islam is all about certainty. Right? It's all about certainty. It's all about certainty. Right? So very important for us to appreciate, ladies and gentlemen, here that uncertainty in contracts, this garar, we don't want this in Islam. And then, of course, we have riba. Riba is also what here? Haram. Riba is interest. Interest in normal financing relates to the monetary unit and is based on the principle of time value of money. Sharia law does not allow for the earnings of interest on money. It considers the charging of interest to be usury or the compensation without due consideration. This is called riba and underpins all aspects of Islamic finance. Ladies and gentlemen, just like Christianity, Islam would want you to sweat out for you to be able to earn money. So if, for example, today, honestly, if I give you, for example, my 1,000 bob, I've given you 1,000 bob. So I'm telling you, go and work hard with this money yourself, right? And then by the end of the day, bring this money when it is like what here, 1,200. So in this case here, I only gave you this 1,000. I'm not working for this extra what here too. So in Islam, you cannot use money to earn more money. You can't sell money, right? So interest is always, ladies and gentlemen, interest is a haram. In Islamic finance, we don't want any riba. Riba is what here is haram, right? Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we shall discuss what they normally do. They don't charge what here interest, but there is something they charge. There is something that they charge. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you will have to give me 1 minute. I get some book. There is a very important thing that I would want to read for you here. Just a minute, just a minute. And during that 1 minute, it will be very important for us to at least take a break. Actually, 2 minutes. Take a break. You come back because today we shall go all the way up to 11. Today's class is going to be very long. So please take actually 4 minutes. Let's come back at 9:35. Come back at 9:35. Come back at 9:35. And ensure that you take coffee like mine here. You should take coffee like mine. You come back at 9:35. Great. So what I would want you to appreciate for the sake of your exams are these Islamic sources of finance. the Islamic sources of finance. So in Islamic banking, there are broadly two categories of financing techniques. We have the fixed income modes of finance, and then number two, we have the equity modes of finance, Mudarabah or Mudarabah, one of the same thing, and then we have Musharaka. So I will want to start with this equity modes of finance. When you talk of equity, it means that this financier is coming on board to take some of your shares. You shall be able to share the business income with this financier, with the finance. So the financier becomes a shareholder. That's equity. No, equity is about shares. You're giving them like 50%, you remain with 50% like that. So I would want to start, ladies and gentlemen, I would want to start with the equity. They're easier for you to pick. So we start with the Mudarabah or Mudarabah. Mudarabah is a special kind of partnership where one partner gives money to another for investing it in a commercial enterprise. The investment comes from the first partner, who is the Rabul Mal. Rabul Mal is a big man in Islam. Ukiuliza Jabir atakwambia Rabul is a big man. While the management and the work is an exclusive responsibility of the other partner, who is called mudarib. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would want you to appreciate here that the Mudarabah profit sharing is a contract with one party providing 100% of the capital and the other party providing its specialist knowledge to invest the capital and manage the investment project. Profits generated are shared between the parties according to a pre-agreed ratio. In a Mudarabah, only the lender of the money has to take losses. This arrangement is therefore most closely aligned with equity finance. Listen and listen to me very well, ladies and gentlemen. In my mind, I always like figuring things out. When we talk of a Mudarabah arrangement, yani uni mtu mkubwa, right? So we have in this case here two parties. We have a party A, we have party B. So party A in this case here is the Rabulman. This is the rich guy. And then we have in this case here the poor guy, but he's endowed with business acumen. He has business acumen. He has business ideas. He knows how to run business. This guy is rich. He has, for example, $10 million US, but he doesn't have what here time to run a business because he could be engaged in other things. So then what we'll do is that B will start a business. B starts a business, and then he calls in this rich guy to come, the Mudarabah here. Call him Mudarabah, big man. So this big man, ladies and gentlemen, comes and invests in this business. So he puts in his 10 million. So listen, this guy has contributed what money? This guy is contributing only skills. He doesn't put in even a single penny. This guy is so poor. Doesn't put in even a single penny. Right? So in this case here, the company gets business. In case the company makes profits, then they share profits as per the pre-agreed water proportions. In most cases, profit sharing is 50-50. It's 50 because I've put in my time, you've put in your money. So in most cases, it's 50-50 profit sharing. What in this case here will happen if they make a loss? If they make a loss, the big man, this Rabul Mal, the big man, this big rich man takes up the entire loss. The poor man is never given a loss. So Islam is the true religion. I don't know, me from the books I read, I'm not saying that there is one that is. Islam, ladies and gentlemen, basically takes care of what here hustlers, takes care of hustlers so much. That is why if you go to a mosque today, you will get so many poor people lining up outside there to be helped, to be given the zakah. Right? In Christians, our church, like my church that I go to a very big church. If a poor man comes right at the gate outside there, the poor man will be chased away, it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Great, very unfortunate. Now, from there, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, nobody should think here that you can convert me to Muslim. No, I'm a Christian, but I'm only giving you facts. I've done the comparative religion, so I know where this is good, and I know where the other one is good. Right. Okay. Great. So we go back here, ladies and gentlemen. Then we have what we call musharaka. Kutoka kwa Kiswahili hii ni kumaanisha namna gani? Kushirikiana. So under musharaka tunashirikiana kabisa. Musharaka in Islam, musharaka ni kushirikiana So Musharaka, what do we do under Islam, ladies and gentlemen? Under Islam, Musharaka will have party A, party B. Both of these guys are rich. They have some money, they have some capital. So A will give 10 million. For example, B gives 10 million. The contributions could differ a little bit. They don't have to be the same. A will participate in business, running of the business, and B will also participate in running of business because they have the skills. So wanashirikiana kwa kila jambo. Wanashirikiana kutoa pesa, wanashirikiana pia ku run business. In the case they get profits, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here they will share their profits in, of course, some pre-agreed water pro. So Musharaka is all about coming together. We are contributing, both of us. We are running the business, both of us. So Musharaka is a relationship between two or more parties who contribute capital to a business and divide the net profit and loss pro rata. It's most closely aligned with the concept of venture capital. All providers of capital are entitled to participate in management, but are not required to do so. The most important thing under Musharaka, kushirikiana, ukiuliza hawa Waislamu kwa hapa, Musharaka, both of you must be in the business, running the business. The profit is distributed among the partners in pre-agreed ratios. Also, the losses will now be borne by parties, yes. So under kushirikiana, under Musharaka, there is nobody in this case here who is a hustler here. Nobody is a hustler. All of us in this case here are well off. Are you able to see the difference between Mudarabah and Musharaka? Are you able to see the difference? 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 So my madam is a Muslim. I need to convert. You see, Eric, the first thing that that lady did, which will prevent her from going to heaven, she's not allowed you to marry. She's not allowed to marry you before you convert. Yeah, preach to her tonight. Let her even become a Christian because already I'm a Great. Great. So now from there, we'll be able to go to the fixed equity, the fixed income modes of finance, where we start with Murabaha. Murabaha is quite a common source of finance in Islam. Under Murabaha, what happens? If I'm a member of Islam, if I profess the Islamic faith, what I'll do under Murabaha, I'll go and, for example, identify an apartment that I would want to buy. But you see, this apartment, for example, is costing 100 million. I don't have this money. So then what I'll do, I'll approach a bank. So the bank will negotiate with the bank. If it's under Murabaha concept, the bank, in this case, here will buy that house in its name. The title will be written in the name of the bank, right? But because I'm the one who came up with this business idea, so I'll be given a special account where I'll be told, in this case, to keep on paying money in some installments. As I get this money, I keep on paying like that until that level where I'm able to pay the agreed amount. When I pay the agreed amount, now the title can be converted to me. Not can. In Muslim, there is no uncertainty. The title will be converted. Under the Murabaha, there are times, ladies and gentlemen, when you will not be able to pay some installment amounts. In Islam, there is nobody who will force you. In Islam, they believe that every person is honest. If a person comes akuja kuambia unajua namna gani waria, nimekosa pesa hii mwezi. The bank accepts that. The bank accepts that, right? So we are told here Murabaha is a form of trade, credit, or loan. The key distinction between a Murabaha and a loan is that with a Murabaha, the bank will take actual constructive or physical ownership of the asset. The asset is then sold onto the borrower or buyer for a profit, not interest, but they are allowed to pay the bank over a set number of installments. The period of the repayment could be extended, but we don't penalize. Islam is not about penalty. It's not about taking advantage of another person. Early payment discounts are not welcomed, right? And do not form part of the contract, although the financier may choose to give discounts. Right? Then we have Ijara. Ijara now is the opposite of who? Is the opposite of this Murabaha. Under Ijara, Ijara is a form of leasing. It's a form of leasing, ijara, also very popular, very popular, very popular with Islamic finance, very popular ijara. So what, for example, you do at First Community Bank, assuming that bank is their bank, which is around there where you see the mosque, right? What they'll do, if they have some additional space that they're not using for their offices, they can bring in other people on ijara concept. So ijara, we are leasing this asset to you. We are giving you the right to use our asset. You use as you give us lease rentals, right? But at the end of the day, if it's an ijara lease, that particular asset does not get ever to be converted to yours. You'll never own. You don't have a right of owning this asset at the end of the day. There is ijara, the asset belongs to the lessor throughout, not like in a Murabaha, where you may end up, if you'll be able to afford, owning that particular asset, where you'll be able to get the title being changed from the bank's name to your name. Ijara is just a lease. It's just a lease. Right? So ijara is equivalent of lease finance. It is defined as when the use of the underlying asset or service is transferred for consideration. Remember, it is the right of using the asset, when the use of the asset. Under this concept, the bank makes available to the customer the use of the assets or equipment, such as plant, office automation, or motor vehicles, for a fixed period and price. Some of the specifications of an ijara contract include: the use of the leased asset must be specified in the contract. The lessor, the bank, is responsible for the major maintenance of the underlying asset or ownership cost. The lessee is held for maintaining the asset in good shape. An Islamic lease is more like an operating lease, but the redemption features may be structured to make it similar to a finance lease. Ladies and gentlemen, the most important thing that you're supposed to pick from this class tonight about ijara is that ijara is all about the bank leasing its assets to customers out there for some consideration. Lease rentals, you keep on renting. You will never ever get an opportunity to do what you to own the asset. So it's an operational lease. Just operate. When you're tired, you're not able to pay your lease rentals, disappear, right? Okay, so Lily anasema hizo majina zimemchanganya. Kwa nini sasa Lily? Kwani uko na shida gani? Now, from there, we have lastly, sukuk. Sukuk, ladies and gentlemen, what do we have? You know, we have got what we call Eurobonds. Eurobonds. We have what we call Eurobond. Have you ever heard of Eurobonds? They are very common in Kenya. They are very common in Kenya. Like the first Eurobond, ladies and gentlemen, that we issued gave us about 200 billion Kenyan shillings. These 200 billion Kenyan shillings in this case have disappeared. The Auditor General tried to follow this money outside there. It could not even be shown how the money in this case here moved between accounts. Most of it went to people's water pockets. Up to now, Eurobond has never been accounted for very well. And yet you have issued the Eurobonds how many times? 5 times. 5 times. Assuming that these Eurobonds, ladies and gentlemen, or rather we were to use what we call sukuk bonds. Sukuk bonds are which type of bonds? These are those type of bonds, ladies and gentlemen, that are based on Islamic principles. Honesty is key attribute when it comes to Islamic finance, honesty. So when you go borrowing using these sukuk bonds outside there, be it in Germany, wherever, this is money that you are getting from the Islam community. Islam community. When you get money from Islam community, they would want to know, number one, how are you going to use their money? Which projects are you going to put their money in? If, for example, they know that you're going to put this money, for instance, in a club, you're going to sell beer, they don't give you the money. They won't give you the money. If you tell them that you're going to invest this money in infrastructure, if it's a house, they would want to know their money is going to construct, in this case here, what percentage of the asset. So it's very easy for you to borrow using or rather very easy for you to track funds borrowed from the Islam community because they follow the last cent. They don't want their money to be used in prohibited activities. If their money is used in prohibited activities, straight away, they will also go to hell. That's what they believe in. So sukuk bonds are these particular bonds which are what here Islam-based. They are Islam-based, which at the end of the day, you have to specify which asset you're going to buy or which activities shall be putting these ventures in. They have to be halal, in halal activities, not haram, not haram. So we have sukuk bonds. Sukuk bonds. What have they told us about sukuk bonds here? Sukuk bonds within other forms of business finance, a company can issue tradable financial instruments to borrow money. Key features of these debt instruments are all of the above are prohibited under Islamic law. Instead, Islamic bonds, known as sukuk bonds, are linked to an underlying asset, such that a sukuk holder is a partial owner in the underlying asset, and the profit is linked to the performance of the underlying asset. So, for example, a sukuk holder will participate in the ownership of the company, issuing the sukuk, and has a right to watch it to profits. Ladies and gentlemen, like right now, most of these African countries are really bleeding out of what the monies we've borrowed from outside countries. Right? Where we are, for example, being told that you borrowed this money in American dollars, you have to return back the principal and the interest in terms of what here American dollars. So inafika ile time ya kulipa installments kama sasa hivi, ya kulipa installments za Chinese na wapi of countries syndicated loans, you realize that the demand for dollar becomes very high because the government wants all the dollars which are around here to be able to pay the debt. If it was a sukuk bond that we had, members of Islam, they'll have to sit down and look at these ventures that we invested in. Are they profitable? If they're not profitable, they'll not squeeze you so much. They're quite patient, yes. They won't squeeze you so much. So if I was the Minister of Finance today, or if I was at Central Bank, I would start doing what this old minister, there is this old minister who has court cases at the moment, Rotich. He had started speaking about trading, changing the current Eurobonds to sukuk bonds. If he was able to succeed by then, I want to believe as a Kenyan government, it will not be having a lot of what here issues. So it's a high time in this case here we start tapping onto Islamic finance by issuing bonds in Saudi Arabia. We issue bonds in Saudi Arabia, here Dubai, Middle East, etc., Iraq. And then when we get these monies, of course, we have to redeem the Euro bonds. This money coming from the Western countries, not very good. This money is going to choke us. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of what year? That is the end of what year? That is the end of this Islamic finance. Clean deals, yes. Adam, thank you very much. Clean deals. So that is the end of Islamic finance, as I think these guys here may bring. Remember, if you miss out on the theory questions of AFM, if you don't get 20 out of 30 of the theory questions of AFM, 20 out of 30, I'll teach you again, unfortunately. I would want to teach you, ladies and gentlemen, at a higher level, member of ISPAC, but not AFM again. Not AFM again. Amen. We want to be members of ISPAC. So please don't say what Leon is saying here, that this, that. No. Theories, we have to get everything. Theories, we must get everything. Yes. Theories, we must get everything. Theories, we must get everything. But before I jump ship, are you guys able to tell me some of the terms that you guys will never forget in Islamic finance? Are you able to tell me, ladies and gentlemen, the terms that we'll never forget in Islamic finance? Sukuk, riba is a haram, ijara is a leased asset. We have mudarabah, right? Mudarabah, thank you very much. We have ijara. We have musharaka. Musharaka is collaboration, like Michelle is putting it there. Right? Mudarabah, sponsor and hustler. That is it. I like that. Sponsor. So thank you so much. I believe you guys have been able to pick something, however small, out of this. Thank you very much. And I'll be able to share. We shall be able to share what here. Which name is this that you put? You really hate this thing, eh? Lily is talking of Mudarabah. In Kikuyu, that means Musalaba. We shall overcome. You shall appreciate this at the end of the day. So if you allow me, let me stop this first.